Now would be a pretty good time for the Dodgers to plug that abyss out in left field. But how? Once again, a scribe is pitching LeBron James, almost being traded to Golden State. And the Chargers conclude preseason today, but even with an extra game, questions abound. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is August 23rd, 2025. I am still stuck in Minnesota, and let me tell you something, Ethan. That accent is real. Now, what do you say we talk about better things, such as LA sports? And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. And it is quick because Slime Diego edged the Dodgers 2-1. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are at Slime Diego at 5:40. The Rams are at Cleveland for an exhibition finale at 10 a.m. The Chargers are at Scum Francisco, 5:30 kickoff. That concludes their exhibition season. It's Galaxy game day. Colorado's in town to face the Galaxy at 7:30, and LAFC is at FC Dallas. That's at 5:30. So what do you say we get to the news? So, with the loss, the Dodgers are in a first place tie. And one of the reasons is because the Dodgers have been just a 500 team since the All-Star break. And one of the reasons that has been happening is because left field is an automatic out. It is an abyss, a black hole from which rallies never materialize. Michael Conforto has been a $17 million disaster because he has a 186 average. But who the hell replaces him? And all the media outlets yesterday, they all had their little bit of Orwellian groupthink. And they were all saying, oh, it's obvious it's left field, so let's just start throwing ideas up against the wall, like monkeys throwing feces. And you know what? I'm going to join in. You don't have to look at me throw. So, for example, solving left field, the LA Times briefly mentioned Alex Call, and then they realized how foolish they were and started laughing at themselves. Alex Call has only started in a handful of games in the 2 months he's been here? Not exactly a prime candidate for a regular gig on a superpower. The LA Daily News then chipped in. They suggested, hey, everybody, Kike Hernandez could start in left when he gets back from the injured list. And by the way, Dave Roberts even suggested that as a possibility. But that's goofy as hell. Roberts hasn't hit anything since he bumped penises with a teammate on national TV after hitting a home run. And yes, I am in fact saying that the hardest thing Kike Hernandez has hit in 10 months is another man's penis. How the hell is that an improvement? His average is below 200. Put it to you this way. If you're buried chest deep in turd, how much better is your life if you're only buried belly button deep in turd? Hyseon Kim might make more sense at the plate, but when he last played left, well, they stuck him out and left when he was, during his rehab assignment in Oklahoma City. You know how long it's been since he played left? 2020. The dude was in Korea. So, chop those three probably off the block. The optimal plan that has been pitched is Tommy Edman returning from the injured list. Should that happen in the near future, you could see him playing center. Then all of a sudden, you're shifting around everybody else. Andy Pages goes to right field. Teoscar Hernandez shifts from right to left. And Michael Conforto shifts to the end of the bench. But I have one more option to consider. The Dodgers tried Dalton Rushing out and left in the minors last year. when they promoted him from AA to AAA. They put him out there because they knew he was never going to start over Will Smith on a regular basis. To be honest, I'm thinking that they saw too many defensive lapses for their comfort. But would it really be a surprise to see rushing out there before the game out in left field, shagging fly balls? Just thinking out loud. Trust me, that one's about as intelligent as the other ones. As expected, closer Tanner Scott returned to civilization. Or maybe former closer Tanner Scott. And actually, it might not have been civilization. He met the team in Slime, Diego, so that's more semi-civilization, but I digress. Matt Sauer was optioned back to the Midwest Manure Pit as a result. Scott is 1-2 with a 4.14 ERA and 19 saves in 26 chances this season for the Dodgers. Who, by the way, we mentioned Michael Conforto was taking $17 million and lighting it on fire. Well, if you have any more kerosene left over, feel free to douse the contract that you used for Tanner Scott with it. Scott signed a 4-year, $72 million deal, and when he blasted out his shoulder, he led the major leagues in blown saves with 7. Now, Dave Roberts is not that stupid. He knows Scott hasn't exactly been amazeballs since he put on Dodger blue. He did not hand the closer gig back to Scott when he came to the stadium. Roberts said he was optimistic that both Kirby Yates and Michael Kopech would return soon. Define soon? Define who closes? Damned if I know. But as you can tell, that's some pretty critical Dodger news, so feel free to let me know what you think in the comments thread. One of the cheapest headlines an NBA scribe can come up with is the trade that almost happened. Now, if you're a bit of an old head like me and you remember when NBC covered the NBA, they had their NBA insider, Peter Vesey, balder than I am, right? And that's all the stories that he could come up with. The trade that almost happened. It's never true. Or it's never a legit story. What I mean by that is Team A calls Team B about a player. Team B tells Team A to buzz off because what you're offering is trash. Or they never want to get rid of the player anyway. So a little note of that goes to the scribe. Blam! Insta hot rumor. Insta hot take. This was almost traded. No, this did not happen. That is not true. Because Team B, in this case, the Lakers, told Team A, in this case, Golden State, stop calling. Why are you obsessed with me? We're not interested in sending you LeBron James. Click. And then the moment they hang up the line, the phone rings again. This was a non-story 2 years ago. It's a non-story now. But this hot trade rumor was posted on the Stein line, a Substack created by a guy who got cut by ESPN because he could never come up with a story other than the trade that almost happened. Hi, Mark. Oh, but the Warriors called the Lakers multiple times. I mean, that's your scoop? Really? I mean, let me put it to you guys in terms that we all can understand. Is it breaking news when you see spam call on your cell phone for the 8th time today? Is that really what we're basing this on? Spam calls. Really? The Warriors are spam calling the Lakers. And by the way, if LeBron James really wanted to go to the Warriors, it would have happened by now. But LeBron James, for all you can say about him, he's not stupid. It is true that he wants to go out with another ring, but moving to the Warriors does not make that team a title contender. It's a lateral move. Why? Golden State is an old team. Golden State lacks in depth. And oh, by the way, they'd have to give something back to the Lakers. It's a team that cannot keep up with Oklahoma City. At least the Lakers have youth, they have depth, and they have a superstar less likely to break down in Luka Doncic than the Warriors do in Steph Curry. And that's no disrespect to Steph Curry. Dude's had an amazing career. But stop calling, guys. We might have to take a restraining order out. Final cuts to NFL rosters come at 1 p.m. Tuesday. And I bring that up because Jim Harbaugh continues to provide non-updates on running back Najee Harris, who injured himself July 4th because the fireworks were just too pretty to let go. Scribes who watch the Chargers practice say Harris has not been a participant. I mean, he's been off on the sidelines, doing push-ups, trying to run the 40 with one of those blind canes that you see people with. Now, I'm not predicting that Harris gets cut, but if Harris remains on the non-football related injury list past the deadline, he's automatically going to be sidelined for the first 4 games of the season. So maybe, if you're watching this exhibition game today, and if you are watching this exhibition game, may I suggest therapy? You need a life. Take a peek at the running backs not named Omarion Hampton. Maybe Hassan Haskins does something so profound that the Chargers actually do consider cutting bait with the guy. Again, not a prediction. I'm just giving you some reason to watch exhibition football. And by the way, if you're wondering about other positional battles today, I'm not sure I see that many. Not many where you can say, I know that's the guy. For example, Junior Colson doesn't appear to have beaten Denzel Perryman to start at linebacker alongside Dion Henley. Now, there does appear to be sizzle to the news that Trey Lance is going to be the primary backup quarterback. None of the cornerbacks have been particularly amazing. Oh, the coaches keep chirping about how they have 4 starting cornerbacks. That's a lie. Here's why. The Chargers, like many NFL teams now, go with nickel coverage at all times. But the Chargers run 3 safeties. You would think if they had 4 starting corners, they would have 3 corners and 2 safeties. It's the other way around. What that should suggest to all of us is they have no idea who's good enough to start. So it's quite the opposite. There are more questions, I would suggest, with the Chargers than the Rams. I mean, the Rams have the biggest question. Can Matthew Stafford hold up? But we're not going to learn that in an exhibition game because he's not going to play. So those are the questions that I would ask myself if I were going to watch exhibition football. The LA Daily News is suggesting that with all the questions about UCLA football, that at least they know Julian Armella has locked up a job on the offensive line. Armella transferred to Westwood from Florida State. He didn't make much of an impression. 3 years, he was basically a special teamer. So he comes to UCLA. They switch him from tackle to right guard, and blammo, he gets the gig. Now, you might say to yourself, great, one guy has a job, big whoop. There's 5 on the offensive line. Fair. But I would say to counter that perhaps the Daily News could have phrased this better. See, the Bruins don't have one guy with a starting gig locked down. They returned 2 starters from last year's team. They have a center who's returning. They have a right tackle, also a returning starter. You have Armella at right guard, and that means from center, the entire right side is locked. That's a foundation. Meanwhile, because of the unfortunate development with DJ Wingfield over at USC, guess how many people are known to have a starting offensive line gig with the Trojans locked up? 3. So, just saying. Don't know who's the better team. I would still put my money on USC for a multitude of reasons. But UCLA is not exactly in as dire straits as that little update from the Daily News would lead you to believe. CBSSports.com has hyped Rams rookie wide receiver Konata Mumpfield as a potential playmaker. Not that they imagine him outshining Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. I mean, it's just because the Rams have kept running Tutu Atwell out there, and they've been doing it now going into year 5. At some point, time has to run out on the guy. Now, it's not that Mumpfield is a burner. His 40 time was not that great. He simply runs routes well. And the Rams have always had a thing for overachievers. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example, about the Dodgers black hole out in left field. For that matter, do you even think there's a possibility that LeBron James is going to Golden State? If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Key and Cortez Queso production. Take care.